At least in the videos. But there's always the whole meeting.
Okay, everyone, please gather back together. Attention. Wait.
So we're going to have kind of an informal workshop, which is a table talk, which we've done for the past couple of years. Right now, I have confirmed 3 topics. I'm looking for a few more. I'm talking with a few more people. So a brief overview on what it is. Essentially, it is an informal time where the kids come, they sit, and they listen to a speaker talk about a topic that really impacts their life. That really is where the rubber meets the road. Something tangible that they can take with them. So this year, we have Pastor Dan. We're probably used to that. Pastor Dan is going to talk about living the whole life as worship. Not just in church, but at your workplace, in school. The little things in your life done well in worship to God. So living your life as worship is one. We have O'Callaghan, who's going to talk about a very, very important yet sensitive topic about purity and sexuality. VAY, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. VAY. To talk about that, and what we're going to do with that is we're actually going to, because of the sensitivity of the topic, we're going to split it up into 2 distinct groups. One's going to be offered each in one day. We're going to have one geared towards the middle schoolers on one of the days, and then for the high schoolers on the second day. So in your group, whatever groups you're in, know which one is offered which day, and make it clear that if they want to go to that particular table talk, the sexuality and purity, that they should go to a specific day, because the workshop will be geared towards middle schoolers or high schoolers, because you deal with different issues. They have a different tolerance and different sensitivities to topics like that. So we really want to be sensitive about stuff like that. And then I'm doing one about living your life in the Word of God, just a very general thing. So, and I'm in talks with some people for another 2 or 3, but essentially we're going to double up the table talks each day. So, with the exception of the sexuality, it's going to be the same table talk will be offered twice during the same time from 7:30 to 8:30 each day on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. Your and will be on the same time, or
all table talks are at the same time, 7:30, 8:30. It's just that in the sexuality table talk, the purity, sexual purity table talk, the 2 offerings on Saturday and Sunday will be slightly different. The other table talk should be the same. It's just with the purity that it's going to be slightly different, because we want to gear that table talk specifically to middle school or high schoolers. So that's the only exception. Also, for those who want to attend the purity, there will be interaction required there. So we want to make clear to the students ahead of time that they need to start thinking about questions. They will be required to write things so that they can be answered. And we want everyone writing, because we don't want to single anyone out. So we want everyone writing. Do you have anything to add?
Oh, I know that at school, usually parents will get the permission. Pastor Andrew just reminds me. So I don't know if we need to do that, or we can change the topic to purity only. So that way, then, so it would not be an issue. But if we want to be safe, then we rather ask the parents for permission. And I can get that to you probably sometime next week, if that is the case, if you want me to, if we want to go in that route.
I thought with the high school, where the permissions was I think they talk a lot of detail. That's why they need the. Are you going to plan to go into how?
How far? No pictures, don't worry.
I don't know.
I talked to you, it wasn't that explicit.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
from
yeah,
our
and
discussion,
I'm
so.
thinking, we can,
No,
I'm
yeah,
thinking,
but colors is different, parents' colors.
right,
Yeah,
right,
they don't have
right.
conflicting there.
But,
They just wanna,
well, I think so the topic title is important.
yeah.
So we call it not sexuality.
No, because
Sexual purity.
No, actually, if we take out the word sexual or sexuality, just have the word purity, then I dealt with that
Yeah,
instead. So then we don't need the other one, and I will not go into that.
Oh.
But it just means that your topic will include sexuality.
Right.
No, but then as soon as you mention sexuality, I think it's best that we protect ourselves to come out with the form so that the parent can be approved for it. Right, so, yeah.
But then again, so like a purity in terms of dating, you know, so that, so I don't know if we wanna go that route, just so that we be safe on the safe side.
But when I talked to you, the kind of like the rough outline we came up with really wasn't
No,
about
Yeah.
sex per se.
yeah.
It was more
About
about,
dating, I think that's.
Dating,
it was
purity,
more
or how
about
to
purity,
protect.
yeah, it was more about purity in your life, purity.
But we do want to address the one topic that probably most boy thinks about most of the day, right? And so I think let's help them. So I don't want to water down the points. Sexual purity, okay, and then we'll have
If it would be implied, because we do talk about dating a
Yeah,
lot.
so,
Yeah,
and then
the
their
purity.
questions, because I will ask all the attendees to, you know, I will give each one a post-it note or a note, paper, and then they just write down questions. And if they don't have a question to ask me, then they can just write down something, so like everyone is writing something, so that no one knows, oh, he or she wrote it.
I see, great idea.
So just so that to be fair for everyone, and then at the end, I do reserve the right not to answer any questions, then I will say that all in the group. But yes, if the questions come up in terms of like a little bit more explicit and all that, then I will have to, you know, answer or help out. And actually, the reason I'm doing this because I work at a high school, and it's a public high school, and you know now the internet and everything is just so much. And recently, even I don't know if you heard on the news that a psychiatrist at UCSF was distributing children porn pictures and all that. And you know, you wouldn't think a person of that, you know, in that sense that would do such a thing, but then yes, and now we see like, you know, teachers and other people. So we want to protect our children, but at the same time, we want them to know what is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that's
Yeah, I
the
think it's
reason
very
behind
important
that.
topic. And thank God you're working in that environment, and so you know, who is a counselor at the high school?
So about table talks, that's kind of the exception in that we have to make it clear that if they're wanting to attend that, we have questions prepared beforehand and be prepared to write. Also take note of which day. One day will be for middle school, one day will be for high school. The other workshops, like Pastor Dan's workshop about living your life of worship.
Okay,
Is that wrong?
let's stop here.
Yeah.
I don't want to get him more.
Yeah, but one thing though,
That's fun.
do we want to have a form so that they can fill? So,
I think we
I
should
think we
have a
should,
form,
because we don't want,
just to cover on
that's
our
correct.
end.
Because
Yes.
we don't want parents to say that, hey, I didn't know about this.
Yes.
Well, if we do that, then it may limit. Yeah. More. I don't think we go that detail that we need.
No, but it's a table talk, so if the parents say no to the kid, then they go to a table talk.
Right.
Doesn't mean they don't go to camp.
No, it's just that then we have to now communicate to all the parents, and sometimes parents don't. Now we have to tell them, okay, this is what about, raise questions, and a bit more logistic, more headache for administrative. I say, okay.
Here it is. So So can.
Because
so
we know what we tolerate.
The title could be purity, would that be on the same side?
And relationships.
That's fine.
And
And relationship.
Yeah, maybe that's a more
Now
mild.
again, this is all for, we're worried about what the parents think. I think the kids are very open about talking about sex and everything like that. It's not a problem. It's the parents.
It's the parents.
that-
But
that are
sexual
worried.
purity, man, what parents would have a problem with?
If I was a talk rather than learn, it's like, come on.
And so, and I know, or, we're touching on, an explicit.
For the parents in the audience, what do you think? Parents in the audience.
Yes.
We noticed so far the parents are the one that concerned about the parental consent forms. And I think because kids will go home and share with their parents. And you don't want the parents to be caught up or say, wait, what are you guys talking about? You know, like, what did they tell you? What did they teach you up there? And then we have to go back and damage control. So I think it's better to be preventive. And I mean, like, for my background in school, everything we do, you know, we do that. And in our church, we do have parents that are very picky and concerned and you know, their preference is different. And we know we want to do, you know, good things for our kids, but we also have to cover our bases.
So I think it would be a good idea, just like a week before camp, you will usually send out like what to bring, things to bring for camp and things like that, and you could include a permission slip, like, oh, this will be a table talk. If you could, you know, print it out, sign it, you pick and attend this table talk, then it's all in there and they can bring it with them if they want to attend that table talk. Maybe we can list all the table talk, maybe one of them, like that one would be a permission slip. Then we just have it all done. And if you forward the email to all the leaders, the leader can just forward it to the parents or print out a permission slip and have the parents sign it. We'll take care of it that way.
Yeah, because my experience when we ask our children, what did you learn in school today? You know, they may interpret different things from what they heard in school, and they'll come home and they tell us, and then we just hear from them, and then we say, wait, why did your teacher say this? And then we have to connect to the teachers and finding out what's going on, and stuff like that. We may have to, I hope we don't ever, but, you know, we may have to, but it just, you never know what kind of parents we're dealing with in a big group like this. And we don't want to mar our, you know, reputations or whatnot down the road, so I think.
Speaking about that, when I was talking to you, we were talking about a huge emphasis on what the students should take away from the table talk is that there should be a more open and a line of communication with the parent. We're going to stress that very much. Is it too hopeful for us to think that if we stress that and the students take away from the table talk that, you know, they need to be more open and more honest and trust their parents that even what was discussed at that table talk, they will talk to their parents about.
No, I think that should be promoted at home with the parents. But what I'm saying is some parents or some participant campers, they can verse it differently than what's being taught at the camp, at the workshop. What's being presented at the workshop, but how they understand the topics and how they communicate it at home, it could be totally different things. And it's just that we don't want to get, I don't want to get a call and say, what did you guys do at camp? You know, like, what did you guys talk about? And then we have to explain things to the parents. That's the one thing that we don't want to get to. And if we're having this form, and if the parents are okay with it, then, or if any, you know, sometimes parents don't want to give you a hard time, but they just want to find out. And then we say, well, we did have that form. We did inform the parents. You know, so we have something to cover. I saw a lot of things.
To that end, so that because you want this to be a logistical nightmare. What about an information packet? Like an information packet we print and we distribute to everyone. You know, here's basically what's going on at the camp. You know, here's the speaker, here's history, and here's the table talk, the brief outline of the table talks, so that the parents know exactly what the kids will be being exposed to for the entire camp, both in terms of the message as well as the table talk. an information packet that would be distributed.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a
That's
lot
been-
of hands,
that'd be
so
really
that you
cool.
guys.
I'm definitely speaking out of place here, of course. But I think that like the concept's gonna change, gonna be the same no matter what, right? Whether or not we give the form right to the kids, it's gonna be the same no matter what, right? So in some ways, you kind of want to encourage that, like, because no matter what, the kids are going to tell their parents about whether or not they signed the form or whatever, right? So if something's fishy and they tell their parents and the parents are questioning, if the parents, I feel as though it might be the case that the parents might say, oh, well, we signed that acceptance form, whatever, so we can't do anything about it, like, and they might just hold a grudge rather than come up to a leader and actually like talk about it, right? But if it wasn't like, if there wasn't this contract or form that we have, right, I think that would be more open, because the concept's gonna be the same no matter what, right? Like, whether or not give the forms, right? So, I think in a way it's more open if you don't do that contract, right? Because, I mean, obviously it's like covering our end, right? We wouldn't be able to do that way, right? But you would be, in a sense, still, because you would have the opportunity to talk to them, right? In a way that might not be available if you do that contract and they say, oh, well, we can't do anything about it. So, maybe that's me.
May I offer something? If, because I'm the speaker for it, so ultimately it's gonna come back to me at the end. So then, what can be done is that I agree with the informational packet so that the parents know, our schedule and things like that. Also, you can put my name and my contact info there. Should any parent have any concern, any questions, please contact Kobe ahead of time. And when I speak with them, if they do not want their child to attend, then I'll make note of that, and I'll make sure that child doesn't attend the workshop. I did that at the school when I was teaching sex ed. If any parents have any questions when I send the permission home, the permission slip home, if they have questions, they're more than welcome to come in and I review the curriculum with them and I will tell them what I will teach and so forth. And if they disagree, then I would make copy of all the tests. The tests I don't, but I make copies of the handouts, all the information that I would be giving to the students. The parents are in charge of teaching them at home. And then when I test, their kids will come in the room just to take the test. And during the time, I arrange another place for the student to go, but the parents will be in charge of teaching the information to the students. So, I mean, if I put my contact info there, if anyone concerned, questions, anything, they can call me up or text me or email me.
Okay, let's put a close this because we need to move on. I'll work with you and Kobe. It sounds like you can put together I think it's good the offering of 4 or 5 is table talks, topics, send out. I think that not just I'm concerned about is we have the email of the kids. I don't have parents. I know a lot of kids who have no connection with parents and come to go and sign something. It's like I know someone will never get that signature. But we'll do it, and then we'll send out the description and then a special form, and in order for your kid to attend this table talk, you need to have your signature approved, and then we'll just go with that, and we'll take whatever they have, and we'll put your name on it, and just I think be prepared that it won't be as there'll be kids who will not have signatures, and I don't want to call each parent and say, hey, we need to send like this. So leaders, children, you need to go back and help us get your. So I think maybe we need it for each church. I think it'd be easier if a local church, like for our church, for example, Paul would take a list, like a sign-up list. I allow for my son Robin. You print out the list with your kids, and And then if the parent agree, they sign it for you next Sunday. That's the last chance. And if not, then they you know, okay. You can otherwise, I don't expect them to come with forms. I think before a form I just feel that you get parents go on the initiative of signing that, you lose at least 50% of the people who could be benefited from this. My guess on it. But it's good concern. We need to be. I good to hear your opinion because I tend to do it first and ask for forgiveness later.
As a little ground, we put on the leaders of each churches to get verbal consent of parents. We made it really easy to talk to parents and say,
But
this is what's going on. You gave
Verbal and just give them a sheet and they sign it. That's easy. We can create that form. Send it to the church. It's okay. Please. Well, we need to have a list. Now, besides those 3 topics, Bible life, worship, and purity, there are, I think, what are other topics that young people you think be helpful for them? I think one of the things I asked is ways to see available leaders among us who can share the life in this case. Yes, okay.
Book of Ecclesiastes, talking about how certain things are meaningless in life, like what you really need to focus on. That could be a thought.
Life, directions, like focus.
Like your goals are meaningless, or like certain things, like material things are meaningless to you, like how like you should view the world as something to just serve God, like have purpose. Your purpose is to serve God, not like an accumulation of things, like having like a nice house or something, or doing so well in school just for money or something. But it's not. It's really not about that. It's about God.
No, yeah.
Maybe living the Christian life, but that's kind of too broad.
Christian daily living.
Christian daily living?
That's kind of my
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, I think there's a lot. Yeah, but I'm not on board with that.
Let's take down these notes. We're not going to decide. Diana?
Reconciliation with friendships.
Reconciliation with?
And like friendships.
Like
Like beef with their friends.
Forgiveness and friendships.
Yeah, like beef with their friends.
Friendship and reconciliation.
Like, forgiveness with friends.
Relational reconciliation, but specifically with friends, among friendship. Wesley?
I was going off Kevin's idea, but more like on God's calling in their life, because during that age group, most of them don't even know what they're going to do in the future. And I feel like it's important for them to recognize God's calling for them and help them trust on God during that time.
Like divine
Vocation.
guidance and
Kind of vocation,
spiritual discernment.
calling, yeah.
That's so important. Some of the key decisions that you guys make in your life now in this phase of life will